Good evening. Today we're gathering as family, as extended family, and church family to honor and commemorate the life of Brother Stan Kolstad. My name is Pastor Mark Howard. I have the pleasure of serving as the lead pastor of Fresno Sunnyside Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I did not have the pleasure of knowing Brother Kolstad for myself, but I have enjoyed encounters with people who have gone way back with Brother Kolstad. And so, on behalf of the Fresno Sunnyside Seventh-day Adventist Church, I do want to extend my deepest condolences. I know that this church is here because of his efforts and because of a number of ways that he has provided and committed to this church over the years. We've come here tonight to celebrate a life that was well lived. Like I said, I did not know him for myself, but just with some of the things that have been shared with me, I have no doubt that Brother Kolstad knew how to live life and also how to enjoy life. And because of that, I know that we can be encouraged, knowing that he will indeed at one point hear, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." And so tonight, I'm hoping that we can celebrate, that we can give ourselves room to grieve where necessary, but that we can leave here feeling refreshed and feeling encouraged, knowing that we will indeed see Brother Kolstad again, and that this is not the end. It's simply a break in his life, and that the next thing he will see will be that of the face of Jesus, and he'll be in a brand new body. There won't be any more tears. There won't be any more heartache. There won't be anything else in his head, but we'll all be reunited. And so, though our hearts might be heavy this evening over this loss, we know that we can still indeed rejoice because on that great resurrection morning, the next thing that Brother Kolstad will see will be that of the face of Jesus. And we'll be able to dwell with the house of the Lord forever with him and with all of our family and with all of our friends from time past. So at this point, if you would, please join me in a word of prayer. And after this, we'll have the next voice we'll hear will be that of Brother Grant Borges, the grandson of Brother Stan Kolstad. So our Father and our God, we are so grateful for the gift of life. And we're grateful, God, for those who had the chance to have their lives be made the better by Brother Stan. And God, we know in moments like these, we are reminded how precious a gift life is. And that this is not something that we should take for granted. And I'm hoping, God, that we will follow his example and that we'll make the most of each day, that the areas that we serve in will give our all, so that we too, when that time comes, can be at rest, and that we can, when we find ourselves between labor and reward, we can leave hope for those who remain, and that they can be encouraged knowing that we too will hear, "Well done, thou good and faithful servant." So God, please bless our time together. Please provide comfort to this family as only you can. And when the calls begin to slow down and the texts start to stop, and when people move on to the next loss, whatever and whenever it might be, we're asking, God, that you would continue to wrap your loving arms around this family and continue to draw them closer to you. This we ask in your name.
every church where I've been before, there's always a big clock in the back to remind the pastor it's time to quit. Apparently, you guys have a lot of faith in your pastor. I don't see a clock, so I'll try not to run over this thing. Because we're here to honor our friend Dan, who's all been a part of our lives for a long, long time. Quite candidly, I'm probably one of the longest. My first memory of Stan Kolstad is when I was about 4 or 5 years old in Cradle Roll, and Stan was my Sabbath School teacher. Before I'm going to talk a little about that, people and their faith community and giving to them. The thing about, I think Stan will forgive me, he had a kind of a little wart on his nose that he took care of long ago. But I remember as like this was again for a 5-year-old kid, just sitting there looking at it. I was fascinated by this thing and wondering what in the world was going on with it. But I also remember in Garrison Keillor's book, Lake Woebegone Days, he talks about, I told you shouldn't get me to do this. He talks about your people in your community, the people you associate with. And one of the bases for forming the community as a faith community is the guy next door, or the person who sells you your groceries. That's the person who teaches your kids about righteousness by faith or whatever. And I look back on that. I mean, here's a guy that was busy. We're going to talk about it. And he had his time to take out to teach this group of young preschool or early school boys about the Bible and what lessons it had for us in life. And there are a lot of, I've talked about that before. It took a community, a village, if you will, to raise me, and a lot of it, and Ron and others. And this was our village. And it meant so much to all of us. So I want to share that first with Stan. This really, I think, tells us who we're talking about today. Stan was born in before I get to Vicky, she said, I got some stuff for you, and you do what you want with it. Well, I'll tell you, I didn't do much. She wrote a wonderful, wonderful life sketch, I guess we call them. Stan was born in Minnesota in 1927 to Engvald, in case you were wondering if Stan was Norwegian. Yes, he was. Engvald and Victoria Kolstad. Eventually, the family also included Stan's 4 brothers and sisters, Myron, Vernon, Virgil, Kenny, and then the girls, June, Bee, and Lorraine. Eventually, the family moved out to California, traveling out here by car, towing a trailer that had all their personal belongings. At night, they'd find, this is more common back then, they'd find a campsite by the road, and they would spend the night there and head out the next morning. After picking up a cousin along the way, they settled in Los Angeles because Engvald had work at the White Memorial Hospital in Los Angeles. And all the children, except Lorraine, who was old enough to find work, took a job as a nanny. They didn't know what an au pair was back then, so she took a job as a nanny. The rest of the children enrolled in the local Adventist school, and that was their life for a while. Unfortunately, and sadly, Engvald had an injury at work, and it proved fatal. That meant everybody else had to pitch in to make ends meet. And so Vicky, she got a job, and even the kids threw in, and Stan did some of this stuff. They sold ice cream. They catered to the people who were the employees of the hospital, or they made sandwiches, and then would go out and sell those. It was American enterprise at its best out of a very sad circumstance. In addition, Stan came up north to a place called Oakhurst and worked at a ranch there in the summertime. Before long, his mother, Victoria, found employment at Pacific Union College. I put to say here, a Seventh-day Adventist college, but I don't think I need to say that here in this group. Located, of course, on Howell Mountain, about 9 miles east of St. Helena. And many of us used to refer to that as Pacific Union College, 9 miles from the nearest sin. That wasn't true. Oh man, I should get that surgery. I'm sorry. During this time, Stan attended the Seventh-day Adventist High School in Angwin with the kind of pretentious moniker of Pacific Union College Preparatory School, or PrEP as it was known. While he was there, did you and Frank meet Stan when you were at PrEP? Is that when you guys go back to? Okay, later. But he did meet another student, Mary Lou Powers, a rather reserved wallflower shy violet. No, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I gotta get that. That was a mistake. A life force, even then. So these two kids decided, let's get married. Only problem is Mary Lou had to have a parent sign in California. And they didn't think that was going to happen. And I'm sympathetic to the parents. I think most of us are old enough we can understand that. So they came up with plan B. Stan borrowed his brother's car. I'm not sure. Anyone know which brother? I know one of his brother's cars. Your dad? Your dad is? Ken. Borrowed Ken's car after all the good boys and girls and parents were asleep. Went over to Mary Lou's house, picked her up. I don't know if it involved a ladder, but they got in the car, drove to Reno, got married, came home, and told everyone, surprise! It was somewhat of a shock to both families. But after the shock had a chance to wear off, Stan's new mother-in-law announced to everybody that she really had always liked Stan. And his in-laws became very proud of him and came to love him as they would of their own child. And I think we all agree that was wise of them. Rick was fond of telling me that when he was at MBA, there was a Bible teacher, and it was Don Lee. Some of you knew he taught here too. And I'm not making fun of him. He did what Bible teachers do in high school, especially at a boarding school where, the school motto is where land and sea unite to inspire. But the kids all said where land and sea inspire to unite. You want to discourage this sort of thing. And so he was telling the students one day, I do not know of a single teenage marriage that has lasted. Well, Rick was in the class. Need I tell you what happened next? Elder Lee. He said the guy's face fell, and he was in good spirits. He said, okay, I'm not going to tell that story anymore because that marriage lasted, and it was solid. So Stan and Mary Lou established a home, and eventually along came Rick, followed by Ron, and then Linda. And eventually the kids grew up, and their family was extended much later by Vicky and Gary. And then, of course, even after that, grandchildren, Brian and Lori and Valerie and Kelly. And then it went on, and Stan had some grandchildren-in-law. Started James, Chad, and Megan. Now, I thought I had said something that was a lie. Um, now, there's another generation in there. And for those who here is a great grandchild of Stan Kolstad, I need to talk to you. You're always, you can put your hands down now. The altar call comes later. That you're always told to be nice to old people. And that's because we forget and we feel really badly about forgetting. Vicki and I forgot to include your name. So forgive us and be nice to us, okay? Since Stan and Mary Lou were so young when they had their kids, they used to joke that their family all grew up together. And I remember, if you recall some of the stories that were told at Mary Lou's service, some stories I had never heard involving a hose and Mary Lou chasing everyone out of the house with the water hose. It sounds to me like they had an awful lot of fun. Not always fun. Vicki told me the story. I didn't put this in here, but I want to share it with you. That Rick had told her that he says, my dad never spanked me in anger. He says, he spanked me on occasion, but he said it was went in. And he said, it's very matter-of-factly. I can picture it. I'm sure you can. Stan was just a very matter-of-fact guy, you know. And you correct me if I'm wrong, because I have a feeling that you may have had this experience too. Huh? You experienced it, okay. I don't want to do this, and it is painful to me, but you've got to learn that if you do certain things, there are consequences. And then you were spanked, and then it was over. And that always meant a lot to Rick, and I suspect you that this was not done as an anger. It was done as a means of trying to make you a better person. And that was Stan. Stan, in case nobody here knew, was always a really hard worker. Sometimes 2 or 3 jobs at once, and not because he desperately needed the money, because work was just something Stan did. And it was also done in times when he had to help people out. Stan started working at Western Blueprint and Supply here in Fresno. Now, this I did not know. He started out as a deliveryman. And from there, worked his way up to he was in management, upper management at the company. Later, he moved out to Mitchell Air, where he worked for many years with Raleigh and with Ken, and didn't retire until he was 90 years old. And of course, and he became an integral part of that business and its success. When my dad, Frank, started his engineering practice, Stan, while still working full time, came out and worked at nights at my dad's office as a draftsman, and sometimes in the daytime. Cause I remember seeing him there to help my dad out, because he was starting this engineering practice and he needed some draftsmen. And Stan went out there. I'm pretty sure that when they were out there in the evening, they also had a lot of fun. Because I know the people involved, and I think they just had a great time, but also very productive. He also worked for our friend Johnny Cook at Cook's Landscaping part-time on occasion. That part I didn't know either. See, aren't you glad that I talked you into doing this for me? I think Stan would want me to go ahead and take a little side trip here, because he was always very proud of Mary Lou and her accomplishments. When Mary Lou graduated from, I think we settled it was high school, because she went to night school, because she had not finished high school when she got married. When she finished high school, Rick was 5, Ron was 4, Linda was 2.5. She didn't stop there. She got her credentials. She went to college, got her credential, started teaching, and then, of course, went back and got her master's, and then founded a really successful uh, business enterprise of a reading clinic. In fact, that was the name, the reading clinic. An amazing bundle of energy. Stan, as I indicated, was always ready to lend a hand to help someone. He always seemed to have the tool for the job. Just, in fact, sometimes it wasn't a lot of tools. Rick told me once, have you ever seen the cartoon, the thing on Facebook that shows Samson and he's wrestling the lion, and the caption is, Samson trying to feed medicine to his cat. Rick was having that problem, and he could not get the cat to take his medicine. He says, my dad came and says, what are you doing? I said, I'm trying to get this cat to take its medicine. She won't swallow it down. He says, give me the medicine. Sat down, got the cat to sit in front of him, staring at him. And Stan went, he blew, the cat went like this, and he popped the pill in his mouth, and it was done. Stan had a knowledge. He didn't know how to do stuff. And that was one, and Rick told me that story bragging about his dad. And I think he should have. This is the kind of things that he just, stuff that no one else would think of. They like to go on trips. They went to Hawaii, Mexico, Hong Kong, several European countries. And the grandkids, Vicky tells me, always looked forward to seeing the treasures that Grandma and Grandpa would bring back to them. Stan also loved golf. In the 1960s, every Wednesday, it was a religion. You might miss church, but you would not miss Wednesday afternoon golf with Raleigh, Stan, Dick Cornwell, and Frank. They were out there. Raleigh and Stan were scratch golfers. Frank and Dick had a great time. And that was the time when Ron and Lou Carrick and I and Steve Chaff and some other guys from the academy, we were all there. We would then make it a point to go out on Wednesday afternoon, and they get us in there. We'd follow Forrest behind them. In fact, I remember one day we're going out there, and it was, what was the name of that place, Raleigh? That was Sunnyside? It was the one down by the river. Fig Garden's the nice one where the rich people went. No, I think Rivers. No, it was before that. It was way at the end of pardon us. It was way at the end of Van Ness. Is that Fig Garden? Yeah. Okay, I thought Fig Garden was where the rich people went. Anyway, no. Okay, that was San Joaquin. This was Fig Garden, and I remember one day going out there, and I was so upset. Because you go out Van Ness Extension, and when you come to Herndon, there was a four-way stop. This is a long time ago. Now, if you haven't been here, it's like 6 lanes each way with a 6-way stop. When you went there, you would sometimes hear Dick was Cornell's specialty was breaking the rule about silence with a big Tarzan yell every once in a while, so you always knew where that foursome was. And the thing about Stan, I remember watching, and I think there may be a picture here, the most valuable thing in his bag was not a golf club. It was his telescoping golf ball retriever. Because whether Stan hit a ball in the river or not, he was going to stop. And I remember seeing him there, benched over and in and out. And when you go in there today, and of course Stan's family will know what I mean here. You'll see this. I was hoping they'd have it, a big cup of these golf balls. And at Stan's house, I asked him to show me. He has a big plaque on the wall. And then one, he gave me the honor of showing me his closet with all the shoe boxes full of perfectly. I mean, he'd take them home and shine them and rub them. And he has, I don't know what they're going to do with it. I think it's going to go to you. You're going to be in the house. No, he said that it would be the great grandkids that would get to share those. That's your inheritance. But I tell you what, this golf ball collection, I'll bet you there's some value there. And if there's a PGA Hall of Fame, there's probably a closet there where that should go. It's an amazing, and it's not all Riverside. I mean, I think he showed me the one from on the 17-mile drive. Pebble Beach. Thank you. So Stan, that was one of Stan's big hobbies, and it was part of what made him unique. In spite of how busy they always found themselves, Stan and Mary Lou always had time for family stuff. They had trips with hiking, skiing, camping, all kinds of stuff like that. And the kids just, I remember talking to Ron and Rick about it. They ate it up. It was a lot of fun. The other thing, I told you I wanted to talk about Stan's faith community, some of the other time he had. In addition to my time with Stan in Sabbath School, then I came to a point where I joined Pathfinders. And 9 years old, it's the rite of passage. And we went out to this old wooden Quonset hut that was named Driver Hall after the old fellow who donated the land for the original school out there on Belmont. And I remember we're all standing there, and Stan's up front in his Pathfinder uniform and saying, now, we're going to have uniforms. We have some ties back there for sale. They're not the best. In fact, they're lousy. And I don't like this guy. Stan had a little problem with some of this. I was not in Pathfinders when he got in trouble. Actually, it was more our friend Dick. He got in trouble because they were teaching a craft of pinstriping and customizing automobile models. Remember that was the big thing for a while? Well, there isn't a Pathfinder merit badge for modeling cars at that time, and so it was questioned whether or not this was something that he should be doing. Stan didn't let it get to him. I remember one time Stan's attitude toward this was kind of a friend of ours who was Stan's age. They were both deacons, so they were waiting to take up the offering. And this was late 60s, early 70s, and right when after the New English Bible, and we had all these modern translations coming up. And it was kind of a controversial thing still, and someone was up front reading a passage from one of the newer translations. And a friend of Stan's came up to him and said, now I had this verified by Rick. A Stan's friend came up to him and said, you know, I don't go for these new translations. I like to hear it in the original languages. Stan deadpanned, I don't think Jesus spoke English. And that kind of stopped the conversation. But his religious work wasn't just institutional. I remember reading an article several years ago by a woman who grew up in, self-described for her, fundamentalist. Now, Adventists aren't fundamentalists and weren't that, but there are some similarities. And when she talked about it, she says, everyone's going to think that I'm going to talk about all the oppressiveness of growing up in a fundamentalist community. She says, but I really don't. She says, I've left some of that, but I don't have bad feelings. I have good feelings because we couldn't do so many things. We got together on Saturday night and we had family. We would go over to someone's house, and it would be the adults and the kids. And yeah, we maybe have our own rooms where we're doing stuff, but it essentially was all the families getting together and doing stuff together. And I can remember that night. And I got to tell a story on us. One night we were at Kolstad's, and there was this new place called Baskin Robbins. And it says, this was the first mistake. Ron, Grant, go out, and why don't you hear somebody, go out and get some ice cream for everybody. So we went. How much do you think they'll need? Oh, 2 gallons should be enough. Well, let's try some sips. Well, we found something we really liked, and we got it, brought it back. we learned something that night. 1 or 2 tablespoons of watermelon ice cream is really good. 2 gallons gets old real fast. But that we never got sent out for ice cream again after that. But that's the kind of thing you remember, and that's what the families did. And this was again. It was all Raleigh, you and others here, my folks and Stan and Scott. Your folks are there. I'm going to miss someone, but it's only because I'm kind of going blind. And you'd get together and you just do stuff. And I have wonderful memories, and I think all the other people of my generation who are into that have those same memories. That it was not a present. Our parents took their time not only to give to the church and help us grow up through the church, but to just help us all together. When I say it took a village, that was the village. That we were all there together, and I to this day certainly appreciate. Stand for that. I think you used a phrase, and that it was the same phrase that Vicki used in closing off her life sketch, and I just put it down here because it's the perfect end to the life sketch. A stellar example of a life well lived. I think that sums it up for Stanley Kolstad. Now, I've hogged enough of this. I understand we have a microphone, and we're going to, and we have some people out here who are ready to listen. And if some of you would like to share your thoughts or memories or something with Stan, now is the time. Have at it. Okay, get this. Tell you what, he's got the mic for you. Turn around and face it. Tell you what, why don't you come up here so they can see you? No, you just leave that right on there. Go ahead. What's your name?
My name is Andrew.
Well, Andrew, go ahead and tell us what you want to say.
And I once played golf with Dan, and I really liked it. And it was in his house.
What, did you break anything? No? Did he show you his golf club collection? Golf ball collection?
Yeah.
What'd you think of it?
Pretty good.
Okay, well, thank you very much. You know what? I think what you just did, nothing would make Stan happier than to see that. Go ahead.
I'm Gary Hamburg. I was Stan's son-in-law, married to his daughter, Linda. And I remember the first time I lived in the Bay Area, they invited me down to visit their house. I hadn't met the family, but by phone, they talked to my folks, and I arranged to go down there. And when I got down there, first thing he said was, "Get ready, we're going golfing." And I said, "I don't play golf. I've never touched a golf club before." And he said, "That's okay, you're going anyway." Handed me some clubs, and we went out and played 18 holes. And when we finished up, he gave me the clubs and said, "Take them back to college. You'll learn to play."
I'm Raleigh Mitchell Air. Stan was my partner in business, best worker I've ever seen. He left what was it? He worked for Western Blueprint, and I took him from there, and eventually I had him for a partner because he was such a wonderful guy. You know, my mind isn't very good anymore. Stan and I were both 96 for a few days, and I'm still alive, and I'm awfully sorry that Stan passed away. But anyway, Stan was my business partner, and he did a very good job working for me. we played golf together, and we were partners. And Frank, his father, and another fellow were the other team. We always rode in carts, and when we had to use our cart to get it going again, we had to check it first because they would always do something that would put our cart out of business. Stan and I were the same personality. We were quiet, and we never said anything bad about anybody. We were just good friends. And so I'm hoping that Stan will be going to heaven, and I'll go with him again. Bye-bye.
I might just add to my dad's comments. My name's Ken Mitchell, and Stan, I guess, had made a decision. He wanted to work at Mitchell Air for 50 years. And my dad hired him, as he said, in July of 1969, and the business sold in April of 2019. And he came to me and looked really sincerely disappointed and discouraged. He said, Ken, I wanted to make 50 years. And I said, well, Stan, you're about 2.5 months short. So as far as I'm concerned, it qualifies. And, you know, that attitude is exactly how Stan exemplified himself at the office. He was clearly, not that any of us were looking for a popularity contest, but I would say over the decades, he was clearly the most liked man that was there. He was positive. He did what needed to be done. And as Grant and Vicki already pointed out, he could do everything. So if you needed something done, I think the only thing he kind of drew the line at is when we asked him to ask somebody to get in the attic and chase out the doves, where half of them were dead. But yeah, he wasn't helping us with that, but there was everything else he could do. And, you know, it was finished almost before you had asked. He was just a great guy. And when we notified a few of the past employees that he had passed away, one of the guys used the exact word that Vicki had written. He was a stellar individual. And clearly he had that reputation and was such a good example to all of us.
I hope I can do this without crying. I'm Sardar, Stan's grandson-in-law. Is that? So I haven't known him as long as Grant as only 20. It was 97 Thanksgiving when he and Mary Lou Grandma welcomed me into their home. Me and my 2 Turkish friends were 3 hours late driving from the Bay Area because we were making baklava earlier in the day. Nobody said a thing. They were so wonderful. I had composed this thing in my mind. It's not going to go as well as I compose in my head, but here I go. Grandpa set an impossible example, an impossible standard for James and me. He was so loving, so adoring to Grandma. I thought I could never match that standard. And his positive energy, his joy of life, his what looked to me like his childlike energy, despite all the hard things that had happened to him in life. They were an example to me. I give him as an example to my dad, who at 77 years old, acts really old and grumpy. When Stan was 77 years old, with Ron, they were helping us move out of Fremont, packing our stuff, repairing the things that had broken in the apartment. I could talk for hours and hours, but just a few things I enjoyed sharing with Grandpa. Getting giant banana splits at the Hanford Creamery. Going to Harbor Freight Tools to buy tools that neither of us would use or need, but they were neat. And just one of his jokes that stuck with me. I think when he was getting a job, they asked him, "Are you through with school?" And he told them, "Yeah, I'm through with school. What he meant was he didn't want to go to school anymore. He was done with high school. That's the kind of that's his kind of humor that sticks with me. I love him and I'll miss him.
I'm Valerie. I'm Sardar's wife and Stan's granddaughter, and I'm also going to try not to cry. So I'm just going to say some random things. I also had some prepared thoughts, but some inspiring memories of Grandpa that really weren't the best times, where we had the fortune or misfortune to be with him a few times when he had to be in the hospital up in Portland. And I think that the staff, the medical personnel at the hospitals, the doctors, nurses, everybody had a hard time kind of assessing his condition at times, because he'd be in the hospital on his birthday or Christmas and having a really hard time, and they'd come in and say, how are you doing, sir? And he'd say, I'm great. and he had a dance. Those were the later years, but that's kind of a feeling that he always had, that he gave us a lot of I might say I inherited some of my grandma's, my quiet grandma's calm characteristics, but I also try to take my grandpa's example. He was really curious. He would try anything. You asked him, do you want to do this? Do you want to go here? Yeah. We thought we saw something. Let's check it out. A new restaurant. Let's check it out. And sometimes I think when I was growing up, I thought maybe that came from Grandma, because she was so also curious and loud and adventurous. But I actually ended up, for fate reasons, I got to spend more time with Grandpa, because Grandma passed earlier, and I got to really know him better in those years. And I think a lot of that curiosity came from him. And he had told us that. Sorry, I'm rambling. He went to audit the same when Grandma first went to Fresno Community College, then Fresno State, and did her undergrad. He would audit the classes with her, and she used to get mad at him because he'd do better than her on the tests. Which is not, I'm sure she did excellent on the test too. So it was just a privilege. I felt like when I was telling people at work, that my grandfather had passed, I almost felt embarrassed to be so lucky to be 47 and have had so much time with my grandpa. And I'll stop now. But my grandpa was an amazing man who gave us a lot of wonderful times. And the last time that we did spend a lot of time with him in Portland, when he was in the hospital for we saw him after that, of course, but he was, I think, kind of scared, which was unusual for my grandpa when he was in the hospital in Portland. What year was that, guys? 2022? 2028? No, maybe 2022, not 2028. But we were privileged to get to hear him talk about how much he appreciated all of us and all of you, and so it's not just that we're saying it was a life well lived. He was making those reflections and saying that he was so happy to have all of us as his family and spend so much time with us. So I'm sorry, I'll stop rambling now.
My name is Lori, and I was also one of his granddaughters. Again, it's hard to know what to say. There was just so many things all throughout my life. He and my grandma were so important and special to me. We'd come down every year in the summer for a month by ourselves without our parents. And, as a child, we were like, oh my goodness, they're so lucky we're coming. And then as a grown-up, I'm like, wow, that was really a lot. And they let us do so many fun things. Just a few memories of him. And I feel like I got to know him even more as an adult. As a child, I was always with my grandma, and then he was there as well. But there's one thing I also remember that makes me laugh, and I ran out of gas with him in the car. I want to say on more than one occasion. And then a couple years back, when the boys and I and Uncle Ron were going somewhere, my van has like a countdown of how many miles are left. And I'm somebody that doesn't want to go under like 20. And we were to like maybe 5. And Uncle Ron and actually Uncle Rick was there too, and Grandpa, everybody was like, no, you're good, you're good. We can go down below 0. And I was having a panic attack, but we did make it. But I think all of the Kolstad guys kind of had that, don't worry about the gas. And most of the time it worked out. The other couple of things are just weird memories. I don't think it's probably in the slideshow we'll see because I don't think Grandpa was in it. But I have a picture of my oldest son, Jack, with an ice cream carton on his head because Grandpa had given him like the whole like third of a carton of ice cream that was left when he was like 2, and he's just like chowing it, and it ended up on his head. And those golf balls that were talked about, the shoe boxes, even last summer when we came through, it was all Grandpa could do to load our car. We have a minivan, just sky high with golf balls. We have thousands of balls at home that will probably last us the rest of our lives. Yeah, and there is still more in the collection. But he was such a wonderful person, and he's after I lost my mom and then also after we lost Grandma, he really has been such a strong person in our lives in all seriousness. And not everybody has that. And I'm so shattered that I don't anymore, but also so grateful that I had it for so long. And I agree, his was a life well lived. My boys love to see him. We always love to come down and see him. I think that speaks volumes, that teenagers are eager to go see their great grandpa. You must be doing something right. So.
Hi, everyone. My name's Chad Borges. I am Lori's husband. So I've known Stan for maybe 30 years, close to that. Sorry. So I think it was Ken that pointed out that Stan was one of those guys that would just finish the job before you even. I'm sorry. So Stan would finish the job before you even asked him, and an example of that is it was about maybe 16 years ago. We were putting in a misting system. We live in Phoenix, and we were putting in a misting system on our back porch. And we had bought the stuff the day before at Home Depot, and I had to go to work the next day. And so I was planning to come back and put it together with Stan in the afternoon. And I get back home, and he's just bringing all the tools in. He's done. It's all mounted, and of course he had to get on a ladder for this and everything. He's about 80 years old at the time, approximately. And it's just blown away because that was Stan. He could just jump in and get stuff done. Didn't think nothing of it. No big deal. Hey, let's go get some ice cream now. That's how he was. I must have played quite a few rounds of golf with Stan over the years, and I think he's the only person I know on the golf course that is. He's never displayed anger on the golf course. That is, if you play golf, I think you know what that says about a person, that they haven't ever gotten angry on the golf course. I'm sure he probably has at some point, maybe. Ron's, you don't know, right? Yeah. It's something else. He might say, "Oh, that's unfortunate." Maybe that's about the worst. It's just an incredible model of a man. I think I realized after about the first week when I had first met him, maybe about, I think it was fall of '94, I guess it was, so not quite 30 years. I realized that if I joined this family, he's a person that could be greatly missed when he was gone, and he is. He is. But as has been said, his was a wonderful life, incredibly well lived, and I think an inspiration to all of us.
Supper. One moment. Talk amongst yourselves. You want it? Theo.
I lose my blues, honey, when I'm with you. No one else can do. Hear my heart say, and when side of life. There's a bright and a sunny side too. But if you meet with the darkness and strife, the sunny side we also may view. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. If we'll keep on the sunny side of life. Oh, the storm in its fury broke today, crushing hopes that I've cherished so dear. Clouds and storms will in time pass away. The sun again will shine bright and clear. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life. Let us greet with our song of hope each day. Though the moments be cloudy or fair, let us trust in our Savior always, to keep us everyone in His care. Keep on the sunny side, always on the sunny side. Keep on the sunny side of life. It will help us every day. It will brighten all the way. It will keep on the sunny side of life. It will keep on the sunny side of life.
Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. In this world where we live, there should be more happiness. So much joy you can give to each brand new bright tomorrow. Make me happy through the years. Never bring me any tears. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. Bring me sunshine in your smile. Bring me laughter all the while. Let your arms be as warm as the sun from up above. Bring me fun, bring me sunshine, bring me love. There's a land that is fairer than day, and by faith we can see it afar. for the Father waits over the way to prepare us a dwelling place there in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore. We shall sing on that beautiful shore the melodious songs of the blessed, and our spirit shall sorrow no more. Not a sigh for the blessings of rest in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore. To our bountiful Father above, we will offer our tribute of praise for the glorious gift of His love and the blessings that hallow our day in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore in the sweet by and by. We shall meet on that beautiful shore.